This is the Dark Illumination Report podcast for Wednesday, August 5th, 2020. On today's episode, I'm going to be sharing my thoughts about spiritual marriage with Satan.
This is a Dark Illumination Report Extra with RJ Womack.
Hey everybody, thanks for being here for a new episode of the podcast. On today's show, I'm going to be talking about spiritual marriage and Satan, but before we get into that, I'm going to be making a few announcements. As I told you yesterday, I'm going to be airing the pilot episode of Nero and the Pig this Friday, and I'm going to be airing the episode with Mo probably on Wednesday. I've also got several things coming up on the podcast, some new stuff to announce, and some interesting things to announce in the next few days. I know there's a lot of people that have been trying to get in touch with me, want to Skype call with me, and also want to volunteer for the ministry. And I really appreciate that. And by the way, if I haven't written to you again, I reiterate that I'm not ignoring you, or if I haven't answered your question, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just taking the questions that are fit the time frame that I have available. Like today, this question came in like yesterday, and I'm answering it today. So I'm not answering these questions in order. I'm answering them based on whether I have time to answer a long question or not. I have to kind of keep it interesting for me as well. So if your questions haven't been answered yet, rest assured they will be answered at some point in the near future. Again, I remind you that we have a show every day, so there's a lot of time to answer a lot of questions, and there's always a need for more content. So if you have other questions, please feel free to send them along. Just be aware that it might be a while before they get answered. The other thing I want to mention too is that I'm not going to, I've had people offer to donate money to the ministry, and the ministry is not a legal organization yet, and it probably won't be until sometime after the first of the year next year. So there's no point in me taking any money. Plus, until we get ready to do activities and stuff, I'm not going to take money from people until I really need it. I mean, that's not what I'm about. So I appreciate the offers for donations, and I probably will need them at some point in the future. But right now, there's nothing going on that where I need money from for donations. So I'm not going to be taking anybody's donations, but I really appreciate the support. And when I do need the money, or when we're working on a project, I hope you'll be there to help out. So today's question comes from a listener who asked, what are my thoughts about spiritual marriage to Satan? And the answer is, it depends on what you're talking about. It depends on if you're talking about spiritual marriage in the sense of it being a way of symbolizing your dedication to Satan, or you're literally talking about dedicating yourself to Satan and not being in a relationship with anyone else. In which case, there are very few people that actually dedicate themselves to Satan on that level, meaning that they are exclusively involved with Satanism and dedicate their life to serving Satan and choose not to be in a relationship with someone else. I have never known anyone to actually live that way. I've heard people talk about it in theory, but I've never heard anybody dedicate themselves to that level. As far as the other way, as far as like being a symbolic gesture or wearing a ring on your ring finger to symbolize your dedication or commitment to Satan in a relationship sort of way, that is very common. It's common in many different types of Satanism, many different traditions, and it's typically females that feel drawn to do this. It's not exclusively female, but it is typically or majoritively female practitioners that tend to feel this way. I've known people that I know personally that do this, that wear a ring on their ring finger to symbolize their dedication to Satan. I've known people from different countries and different traditions to do this. So it's very common, and there's nothing unusual. I suppose it depends on, like I said, what your spiritual definition or your definition of a spiritual marriage is, but it's perfectly acceptable, perfectly normal. And it seems to be something that Satan encourages certain people to do. What purpose it serves, I don't know. Do I see any difference between them and any other Satanist? Do I see them being more dedicated or doing more work for Satan than somebody who doesn't dedicate themselves in this way? No, I see no significant difference whatsoever. So whatever the spiritual meaning is, is between them and Satan, and I have no idea what it is. I have no idea why Satan leads certain people or why certain people feel the need to do that in that way, but more power to them as far as I'm concerned. If that's what they feel drawn to do, if they feel that's what Satan is leading them to do, then I have no issue with that, and I see nothing wrong with it. And obviously, Satan has his reasons for doing that with certain people, so I'll just leave it at that and let Satan take care of his own business. Anyway, that's it for today, guys. Hope that helps. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Dark Illumination Report podcast. For the latest news headlines, show information, and more, go to rjwomack.com. That's rjwomack.com.